the last session we have started with our new module, that was design of compression members, and we have seen that we have started with our topic, that is struts. Clear? So in struts topic we have started with our first sum, that was regarding our concentrical loading. So we'll be continuing with analysis of struts, and we'll be solving today another problem that will be of eccentrical loading. Clear? So here the question is, calculate the compressive strength of a single angle strut, that is ISA 100 cross 75 cross 10. It is an unequal angle we mentioned, with the center to center length of 1.5 meter. Here center to center length of between the members has been given. Angle is loaded through one leg and ends are fixed. Clear? Angle are loaded through one leg. That means the load is applied only on one leg and it is not applied on the other leg. If the angle is loaded through its CG, again keep in mind, if it was mentioned that angle is loaded through its CG, then it could have been a concentrically loaded angle. But here it is given as angle is loaded through one leg, and angle is loaded through one leg. That means it is eccentric loading being prescribed. Clear? So keep in mind. And also it is been mentioned that consider one bolt at each end and take Fi equal to 250 megapascal. So where the changes will be occurring, we'll be seeing that, but the basic steps will be the same. The first step will be to find the area and radius of gyration for this section, that is 100 cross 75 cross 10. So for this section, again moving on to your steel table. Here from steel table you can see that from page number 8, here you can see that ISA 100 cross 75 is mentioned, and from the third row it can be seen that it is given for the thickness 10 mm. So here the section area, that is our total area, comes out to be 1650 mm square. Clear? This is a sectional area, that means a gross area or total area. So gross area here comes out to be 1650 mm square, and we need to find the radius of gyration. So radius of gyration can be obtained from the opposite page, that is page number 9. And from page number 9, here you can see that it has been mentioned that the radius of gyration here is, it is mentioned that the radius of gyration is 1.58. Clear? 1.58 centimeter, that means 15.8 mm. Clear? So these two values can be obtained from your steel table. Now we'll be keeping our steel table aside and we'll be focusing on our IS code. The first thing will be to find the section classification, because we need to prove that whether the area that we have obtained from your steel table is the effective area or not. Clear? So the first time, every time, whether it may be of strut or the question may be of column, the first step will be to find the section classification or to prove the section classification. So now we'll be moving to our page number 18, table number 2. As you can see here, again we are dealing with a single angle. So single angles will be always referring this row, as you can see, and for that we will be needing to check three ratios. The first ratio will be B by T, the second ratio will be D by T, and third ratio will be B plus D by T. So solving these three ratios, the answer comes out to be, first is 7.5, second is 10, and third is 17.5. It should be less than or equal to, clear? It should be less than or equal to 15.7 epsilon, 15.7 epsilon, and the third case was 25 epsilon, as you can see here. Again, in the question it is been mentioned that Fi is equal to 250 megapascal. So here in the notes section, point number 2, you can see the value of epsilon or the equation of epsilon being described. So the epsilon here is 250 upon Fi whole raised to 0.5. Clear? So as the Fi value is given as 250, the value of epsilon will be equal to 1. So our three cases are satisfied. So whenever all the three cases are satisfied, we'll be always checking AE equal to AG. If any of the three cases fails to satisfy, then AE will be obtained from other method that we'll be seeing in the future sessions. Clear? So for here, all the three criteria are satisfied. So EE will be equal to, that is our effective area, will be equal to 1650 mm square. Clear? Now the next thing will be to find our FCD, that is our design compressive stress. But for that, we will be moving on to our clause number 7.5 that we have discussed earlier. This is for single angle strut, and as it is mentioned that a single angle strut is being given, so we'll be using this clause, that is 7.5.1, but it has a sub clause. So here the sub clause is 7.5.1.1, which is for concentric loading that we have used in the last session. Clear? But this sum, as you can see here, it is mentioned that angle is loaded through one leg. And if it is given in the question that angle is loaded through one leg, that means it is an eccentric loading being prescribed. So if it is given as eccentric loading, we can't use this clause. So we will be moving on to our next page, and there you can see here 7.5.1.2 is made mentioned, and it is given there loaded through one leg. The topic here, the heading here is loaded through one leg. That means our eccentric loading, and for that the only change will be the value of lambda. Clear? And if it was concentric loading, we'll be finding the value of lambda from page number 34 that we have seen earlier. Clear? But for the cases, that is for the case of our eccentric loading, we'll be always using this equation from our page number 48, and we'll be using this lambda e, that is our eccentric slenderness ratio. Clear? So we'll be focusing on this term. This is the only change between a concentric loading and a loaded through one leg or eccentric loading. Clear? The only difference will be the steps or explanation, or you can say equation to find lambda. So here we will be finding a lambda from these terms, and for that you can see here we require the value k1, k2, k3 that are constants, and lambda vv and lambda phi square. So total 5 terms we will be requiring, and first we will be moving on to the term that is k1, k2 and k3, the constants. It will be obtained from the same page, that is page 48. From page 48, table number 12, you can see it is been mentioned, given constants k1, k2 and k3, and it depends on number of bolts at each end, and for that purpose it is given in a question that consider one bolt at each end. Clear? If it is not given in the question, we will be always assuming on this case, that is considering one bolt at each end. Clear? So here the second row is for one, that is number of bolts at each end. So one will be providing at each end as given in question, and in that also there are two categories being mentioned. First is for fixed support, and the second is for hinged support. And here in this mentioned in the question that ends are fixed. Clear? So if it is mentioned ends are fixed, then our k1 and k2, k3 will be this term that I will highlight. Clear? So this is how we will be always finding the value of k1, k2 and k3 that are our constants. So in this case, k1, k2, k3 comes out to be this term, that is 0.75, 0.35 and 20. And the center length is given in the question, that is 1500 mm. Center length, that means our effective length. So if the effective length is already given in the question, no need to find it again. So now we'll be focusing on the next two parameters that were lambda vv and lambda phi. So for that again you will be moving on to the upper equation that was for lambda e. Clear? Here you can see the equations for lambda vv and lambda phi are been mentioned, but again keep in mind, in the denominator you can see pi square epsilon is given. Here it is a printing mistake. It is not epsilon, it is capital E, and capital E, that is modulus of elasticity, or you can say elastic constant. Clear? So again you will be not overwriting anything in your IS code. You will be just remembering that we will be solving plenty of sums regarding this. So this denominator portion in the both case, that is in the case of lambda vv also and in the case of lambda phi also, in both cases the denominator contains capital E instead of epsilon. So here our value that will be this case, if E, capital E, that, or you can say modulus of elasticity is not given in the question, then we'll be always assuming it to be 2 into 10⁵ Newton per mm square. So here lambda vv comes out to be 1.07, and now we'll be solving this equation and we'll be getting the value of lambda phi. So lambda phi comes out to be 0.098. Now this will be the value of b1 and b2. b1 and b2 will be our legs, and divided by 2t, that means this is our thickness.
And in the upper equation L, that is our capital L, will be our center to center length, that will be 1500 mm. So substituting everything here, we'll be getting the value of lambda vv and lambda phi. We have already obtained the term k1, k2 and k3. So now we'll be finally finding the value of lambda e. So lambda e, that is our eccentric slenderness ratio, comes out to be 1.16. Clear? So now this will be our main change that will be occurring between our concentric loading and eccentric loading. Now we'll be focusing again on page number 37 to find the value of FCD. So again, to find the value of FCD, the next thing we'll be requiring is this lambda is completed. So now we'll be requiring this term, that is phi. And again for phi, we'll be requiring the value of alpha. As we have discussed earlier too, that alpha can be obtained from these two terms. This will be in your page number 35, and this will be obtained from your page number 44. In the 35, the equation or the table is being mentioned for alpha, but it depends on the buckling class. And for our angle section that you can see here on page number 44, that for angle section the buckling class will be always taken as C. So again, going back to our table number 7. So table number 7 suggests that for buckling class C, our value of alpha will be 0.49. This is how you will be calculating the value of alpha, that is our imperfection factor every time. And after finding the value of alpha, we will be substituting everything in the term and we will be finding the value of phi. So phi here comes out to be 1.41. So after completion of phi, we will be moving up and we will be finding the value of FCD. So FCD here comes out to be 102.27 Newton per mm square. Yeah? So this is our design compressive stress. But our ultimate goal was to find the compressive load. So now we'll be using this equation in this term and we'll be finding the value of PD. So PD, the equation for PD will be A into FCD, and solving it will be getting an answer 168.75 kN. So this is our sum regarding our eccentric loading in a single angle continuous strut. So this will be our today's exercise problem. Solve it, as it will be very beneficial for you. As you can see in your question bank also, that regarding our design of compression members, there are plenty of sums been asked. So we'll be moving towards our double angle struts from the next session onwards. Thank you.